Barn doors are trendy and a great solution for awkward doorways. If you've ever looked into purchasing one, you know they are not cheap. I'm going to show you how I built this barn door for my master bedroom with a super simple construction at a fraction of the cost. These are 4 1x10x10s. This is going to make up the vertical construction of the door, but one of our planks was warped. So we've clamped them together. We're going to leave this like this for a day or two to help that board straighten out. What we can work on though in the meantime is the frame of the door. So you'll see here 4 pieces of wood. This is going to act as the bottom of the frame. That's going to be the top of the frame. And really all this was 1 1x2x8 cut down to 2 pieces of 37 inches wide, which is the width of our door. And this was 1 1x6x8 cut down to 2 pieces of 37 inches as well, the width of the door. So these are going to be glued to this little trim and screwed together. That'll be the bottom trim on the front of the door and the bottom of the frame. And this will be the top trim on the front of the door and the top of the frame. So pretty easy construction. And a little tip for you guys who might not have a miter saw or any other tools at home, maybe this is your first DIY, Lowe's will actually cut your wood for you. You just really need to know exactly what you need each plank cut to. And another little tip is, let's say you needed an inch taken off your piece of wood. You should prefer to have them take ½ an inch off of both sides than to take 1 inch off of one side. And the reason why is you'll end up with a nice, straight, clean cut, which just saves you time with sanding. Hi baby, hi puppy. So the first thing we can do is make the frame of the door. We have a 1x6 that's been cut down to 37 inches wide, which is the width of the door. Also the same 1x2 cut down to 37 inches wide. So this 1x2 is going to get glued and screwed onto the 1x6s. This is going to act as the bottom of the frame and the top of the frame. So the first thing we want to do is use some wood glue and get this glued on. I just need to clear my head. 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 Once you've glued your 1x2s to your 1x6s, you can pre-drill for your trim head screws. I pre-drilled 5 holes on each side. So now I'm drilling in my trim head screws, and look how beautifully they sink right into the wood. That is the benefit of trim head screws. So you can wood fill these and then paint right over them, and it's like they were never there. We've straightened out the boards as best as we can. Now it's time to attach your 1x10s to the door frame that you just created. And you're gonna wanna lay out your trim head screws. We're using 8 by 1 1/4 inch. So we're using these guys. Once you've laid out your 1x10s in the position you want them on your frame, you're going to attach them to the frame using those same trim head screws. So I'm doing 3 screws per board as I go along the bottom of the frame, and then I'm going to repeat the process for the top of the frame. So each 1x10 will have 6 screws in total, 3 at the bottom and 3 at the top. So look at this huge barn door coming along. So we've got it all screwed into the top and bottom trim. The next thing we're gonna do is flip it over, and we're gonna install these pieces of wood here that are gonna act as vertical trim along the left and right side. So it'll just make a nice frame, and it will make it look nice and thick from side view, so we can install some hardware. I'm screwing in the left and right side trim. I'm adding about 8 screws per side, which is probably overkill. I do right now. Don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love.
The side frames are all screwed in on the barn door. Now I'm adding a piece in the middle of the barn door. This is both for cosmetic reasons and also because this barn door is 10 feet tall. It's going to keep those super long 1x10s in place and keep them from warping and moving away from each other. So to help with that, I'm using 7 trim head screws. If your door is not quite this tall, you probably don't need to use that many, but you do want to make sure you get 1 screw in per board. Now it's time to wood fill the screw holes. The trick to using wood filler is to fill in your screw holes too much. You want a little tiny mountain on top of your screw holes, and that way by the time you're done sanding, you have a flush surface instead of a little divot everywhere a screw hole was. So that's a good tip if it's your first time wood filling. I'm also going through and filling in the wood knots. I do not want a rustic barn door. I'm going to be painting this a dark color and I want it to look more sleek than rustic. So I'm filling in all of the holes inside of the wood knots to create a smooth, sleek surface.
I'm using Drydex because it goes on pink and it dries white, so it's really user-friendly. The wood filler on the back of the barn door is dry. As you can see, it's all white.
After sanding both sides of the barn door, you'll want to vacuum it if you can, both sides in all the crevices, and wipe it down with a damp cloth. This next step I skipped, but I highly encourage you to caulk your seams. So you want to use silicone caulking that's paintable and caulk anywhere where 2 pieces of wood meet. So where the trim meets the vertical boards, in between the vertical boards, you want to get a nice smooth finish before you prime and paint this door. Unfortunately, I skipped this step. I really regretted it. And so after painting, I went back in, caulked the door, and painted it again. I forgot to get a video, but the next step is to prime your barn door. This will help cover any imperfections in the wood and make painting that much easier. If you're painting your barn door a dark color like me, you're gonna wanna get your primer tinted. They can do that at the paint shop for you for free. Otherwise, that white primer is gonna be really hard to cover up. The barn door looks gray at the moment because it's been primed using a tinted primer. I'm about to paint the barn door this gorgeous dark green color that took me forever to decide on, and I'm really happy with it. If you like the way this looks, check the description box below for my custom recipe. I applied 2 coats of primer per side, letting each coat dry fully. Also, this foam roller is probably not the best roller for the job. It's what I had on hand, so it's what I used, and I got through it, and it looks great. However, you might want to choose a different nap roller. I used 2 coats of paint on the barn door per side, making sure each coat fully dried before applying the next, and make sure to give it a few days before flipping the barn door over on your sawhorse and painting the other side. Installing this barn door was definitely the hardest part of the process. Not my favorite. But if you can get through it, it's worth it. I love this barn door. It provides a lot of privacy that we didn't have before, separating the master bathroom from the master bedroom. It really cuts down on the sound and the light if somebody is trying to use the bathroom early in the morning and somebody else is trying to sleep. What I used for a handle is actually an acrylic rod that I purchased from Amazon. I love that it's translucent, it's kind of modern and cool. This one I believe is 24 inches in length, but keep in mind this door is 10 feet tall, so your handle might not need to be that long in order to match the scale of your door. And I used super cheap copper bell hangers, which you can find in the plumbing aisle at Lowe's or Home Depot, to attach the acrylic rod to the door. If the copper look doesn't fit in with your style, you can totally spray paint these bell hangers too. So what do you guys think? Did I paint this barn door the right color? This is a special custom mix. It's a dark green that reads black. I love it, but I want to know what color you are going to paint your barn door if you do this project. Leave me a comment and let me know. Like and subscribe for more videos like this, and you probably could use another Instagram friend, so go find me at Amanda Fallon Homes. Talk to you guys soon.